Hello and welcome. I'm Suma Katauka and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top headlines of this hour. US President Donald Trump has said that the United States needs Greenland for national security and to strengthen NATO's effectiveness. Without it, Russia or China could gain control, and anything less than US ownership is unacceptable. Independent human rights groups have stated that the death toll from the crackdown on protests in Iran has crossed more than 2,000 people. A senior Iranian official has warned the US against military action, saying Iran would strike American base if attacked. Tehran has reportedly asked its regional leaders, including Turkey, to prevent any military escalation by the United States. US President Donald Trump has now stated that a US takeover will be great for Venezuela as American oil companies formulate their re-entry strategy into the Venezuelan oil market. According to official government statements, Algeria's President Abdelmadjid Tebboune has called on youth living abroad in vulnerable or illegal situations to return home, promising to regularize their status and grant amnesty for minor offenses. The call is to the 54,000 Algerians who left for Europe between 2020 and 2024. According to French official statements, France's Interior Ministry has banned 10 British far-right activists from entering or remaining in France after determining their actions could incite violence and seriously disrupt public order. Trump says day of reckoning and retribution coming to Minnesota, where 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good was killed by an ICE agent as protests continue in Minneapolis. Apple signs multi-year deal with Google to fix Siri with Gemini, which the company promised at WWDC 2024, but has since been delayed. Apple had promised 3 big upgrades to Siri to take it on par with rivals like Gemini and ChatGPT. Now we start this hour with the Middle East. A senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has warned US President Donald Trump, saying the June strike on Al Udeid air base in Qatar showed Iran's capability to respond to any attack. The advisor has stressed this was in retaliation for US support to Israel, highlighting Iran's defensive will. This comes as Washington has ordered some personnel to depart major US bases in the Middle East, including Al Udeid in Qatar, as a precaution amid rising tensions following Iran's crackdown on protests. The move comes after warnings from Tehran that it could strike US bases if America intervenes. Qatar's international media office has said that personnel movements at Al Udeid Air Base has responded to regional tension. The government affirms it is taking all measures to protect citizens, residents, and critical infrastructure, promising updates through official channels. Meanwhile, rights group HRANA says 2,403 protesters and 147 government-affiliated individuals have been killed during the recent unrest. Dozens of Iranians have arrived in Turkey through the Kapikoy border gate, many with luggage and personal belongings headed to nearby towns. Turkish authorities say the border situation is stable, but developments are being closely monitored. Let's listen in.
Çok dövüş tartışmamız yoktu yani bizlerde. Farslarda biraz oldu kaç gün. Ama onu da devletimiz kontrol ediyor. Çok haberimiz yok. Biz bilmiyoruz. İnternetimiz yoktu. İnternetimiz yani bizim İran içindir. Yani millidir. Biz deriz milli deriz. Orada da bir şeyler yok olmur. Yok.
Yani şu an sakin.
Şu an sakinliği. Birkaç gün oldu ama şimdi sakinliktir.
Bizim şehrimizde yoktu, hayır yoktu. Bəli, büyük şehirlerde oldu. İtirazlar pahalılığa göre vardı. Azalıbdı.
Yani şu an azalmış.
Evet.
Now for this discussion, we welcome Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at Hudson Institute, joins us live from Poland. And also Mr. Ali Muhammad Abushbak, he's a Middle East researcher, joins us live from Cairo. Thank you to both our guests for joining us on this news. Now first, I would like to go to Dr. Nagao for this discussion. Dr. Nagao, like looking at the developments between Iran, Turkey, and US, what can Turkey realistically do? And also, how credible is Iran's claims when they say that they are capable of so much and counter-attacking US's attacks?
There is a possibility that Iran has still some ballistic missile to attack the U.S. military base. That is true. But at the same time, the precision attack will not matter, because in case of the ballistic missile, the precision attack is very difficult indeed because of the technical issue. So that's why they can attack the U.S. base, but will they kill the many U.S. soldiers? That is indeed uncertain. Even if under such kind of situation, still the Iranian can say that they can retaliate. That is true. But view from the military power, the U.S. military power is far precise and far strong. So indeed, this is not the equal battle that we can expect. In case of the Turkish roads, of course, how to identify what happened is the matter, and the view from the geographical proximity, Turkish road is very important to identify what will happen. But at the same time, Turkish road is limited in case of how to solve the issue in the Iran, because Iran and Turkey is a different country, and Iran can crack down inside of the anti-government demonstration, but and in this case, Turkey cannot intervene inside of the Iran. In this case, some country has influence inside of Iran. Some cases, of course, Israel's influence is relatively big, I think, but at the same time, Iranian decision, of course, based on Iranian people's decision. So that's why Iranian government try to crack down the people, but what will happen finally is rely on the people's will, I think. And the people's will move the army's attitude of Iran. It will change drastically. But Iran has two armies. One is formal army, another one is Revolutionary Guard. So if the Revolutionary Guard power is strong enough, of course it is not easy to change the regime or change the policy. So that's why indeed the US, if the US eliminate the power of the Revolutionary Guard, it could be the game-changing situation.
Right. Thank you for highlighting that. Now I'd like to go to Mr. Abushbak for my next question. Building on Dr. Nagao's answer, how credible is actually Iran's claims and about their capabilities, and also how alert should Qatar be? As you know, we saw last time in June, we saw some spillover towards Qatar when Israel and Iran were in conflict.
Thank you for having me. Thanks. Is Iran now in trouble, in very hard position and very hard situation. It's looking for, especially it has no allies. So all the Iranian proxy in the area have been impacted during the 7th of October, and there is no any kind of proxy has a strong, I mean, there is no strong card for Iran. So now Iran changed to the diplomacy way, and it's a change to a several of method to handle the situation on the ground. Western country is still criticizing the behavior of suppressing the protester in Iran. So I guess nowadays Qatar couldn't, Qatar and also Oman, one of the Iranians alliance and has a good relation with Iran since a very long time, since 2016 during the Arabic crisis with Qatar. Iran used to support Qatar, and Iran used to import several of supplies to Qatar. Right. So nowadays The new actor in this kind of conflict is the Turkey. That's giving a very hard question. Especially Iran is a Shia sector, and Turkey is a Sufi or also
Alawi. Yes. We seem to
a
be
Sunni
losing.
sector. So
Yes.
that's giving question: is a Turkey has a new rule in the area in Middle East?
We seem to be losing connection with Mr. Abushbak, so I would like to go back to Dr. Satoru Nagao for my question. Dr. Satoru, now, in case this regime change does happen, as we see a lot of protesters taking in the streets of Iran, who is the opposition figure?
That is a matter of concern. In case of the Venezuela, why the United States eliminate only Maduro? Because they worry about what happened after that. The regime change has happened, but only they remove the leader of the dictatorship. And still the Maduro regime continue to stay in the government, workable government. That's why the panic hasn't happened, and the cost of the U.S. military intervention is very limited. In case of Iran, what will happen? If the regime change has happened just by removing the top level, of course, current regime continue to stay and try to reconcile with anti-government people, and maybe it will be a relatively peaceful regime change could happen. But if the United States eliminate all of the current regime, and Iranian people need to establish the new government from the one that is a very tough job, big job, and so it is not easy to achieve to establish the new government immediately.
Yes.
So that's why how to solve this issue, how to eliminate, or which part the U.S. should eliminate in the current Iranian regime is a matter of concern when we think about after that.
Right. Thank you for highlighting that and joining us, to both our guests, Dr. Satoru Nagao and Mr. Ali Abushbak. Now we move on to our next news. Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has received a call from Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Jaishankar has confirmed this on a post on X. Both the leaders discussed the evolving situation in and around Iran. Now we move on the focus on to Middle East. Gaza's civil defense has begun transferring dozens of bodies that were hastily buried during months of war, as recovery efforts continue in the aftermath of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Around 50 bodies were moved from a makeshift cemetery in Gaza City's Al-Darraj neighborhood to be reburied in official cemeteries. Civil defense officials say most of the bodies have been identified, with families arriving to collect their relatives. The remains are believed to be of Palestinians who were killed during the fighting that erupted after October 7, 2023 attacks and the subsequent war in Gaza. Authorities say the process aims to ensure dignified burials after emergency interments carried out under bombardments and extreme humanitarian conditions. Let's listen in.
ساعات الصباح الأولى طواقم الدفاع المدني توجهت إلى هذه المقبرة العشوائية، والتي يقدر عدد الفيتامين بها قرابة 50 جثمان. 70% من هؤلاء الفيتامين هو معلوم الهوية، لذلك نجد بعض الأهالي هنا لأخذ أبنائهم وذويهم ودفنهم في المقابر الرسمية. أما بالنسبة للشهداء مجهولي الهوية فيتم أخذهم إلى مشرحة مشفى الشفاء هناك لمدة 48 ساعة. يتم اتخاذ الإجراءات اللازمة من قبل الأدلة الجنائية والطب الشرعي ووزارة الأوقاف، ثم بعد ذلك دفنهم في المقابر المستحدثة وهي مقبرة الأرقام في دير.
الحمد لله اليوم تمكنت إني أتأكد منه إنه هو هذا زوجي، وعرفت إنه هو بإذن الله بعد 2 وشهر حتمكن من إني أدفنه في المكان المناسب والوضع المناسب.
Now we move on to our next news. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati has said that consensus has been reached on the members of a 15-person Palestinian Technocratic Committee that will govern the Gaza Strip. Abdelati has said the committee is expected to be announced soon and deployed to Gaza to manage daily life and essential services. Palestinian sources said members have been formally notified and will travel to Egypt for their first meeting expected on Thursday or Friday. The committee is part of a post-war governance plan proposed by U.S. President Donald Trump following Israel's war on Gaza, which has devastated infrastructure and created an unprecedented humanitarian crisis. The panel will include academics, professionals, and civil society figures overseeing key sectors such as health, telecommunications, agriculture, finance, and education. The move comes amid a fragile ceasefire that has remained under strain, with Gaza officials reporting hundreds killed since it took effect in October 2025. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati has said that consensus has been reached on the members of a 15-person Palestinian Technocratic Committee. Now, for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Mohammed Abushbak. Ali Mohammed Abushbak, he's a Middle East researcher, joins us live from Cairo. Thank you very much, Mr. Abushbak, for joining us once again and staying with us. Now, looking at this, Egypt's foreign minister's statements, who are these 15 people who are, and what is their role going to be, and where does this committee put the Palestinian Authority and Hamas?
Usuma, this is 15 of technocrat member. Most of them they are from Gaza, and they had several. They worked as several. They had several of file in Palestinians government, and they worked with the Palestinian PO. Palestinian Authority. And according to the information I received yesterday, this committee have been reached Cairo, and tomorrow they are going to meet the American ambassador in Egypt, and they will discuss about their plan about the future of Gaza. What I had information about it last year, some of them they got informed about their role and they are about their duty in Gaza as a technocrat, and they were preparing several of file. One of them, the reconstruction Gaza, especially according to the information I have, one of them he met the embassy, the ambassador of UK in Palestinian Authority, and he had met them, and they were discussed about the several of cases about related to Gaza. One of them the reconstruction, and they have a several of file for these, and they showed their plan how they will go through the reconstruction of Gaza. Most of them, what I know from Gaza, that is a very good news, and this is a very good I guess opportunity for the Gazians to represent themselves, because as you know, in Palestinian government that related to the Palestinian Authority, usually the Palestinian people from Gaza, they used to they don't represent the Gazan civilians, and they don't have any ministry, a very strong ministry to be as a minister. So yes. The thing says here, these according to also the news that flee, most of the Palestinian function, they are accepting them, and nowadays their names it's checking in the Israeli side to approve the names, and security they are has no any issue with the Israelis. So I guess if they are going to accept them, we are going to second phase of Gaza, ceasefire, and Hamas has no issue with them. Most of them, they are mediator in Gaza, and they have a less they have they are Hamas, they are accepting them. Most of the Palestinian function, Hamas and Islamic Jihad, also accept the names of the committee of the Palestinian Technocrat. The thing is here, is Hamas ready to accept, to hand over the security file or no? because Hamas is always considered the security matters. Its responsibility in Gaza. So
Yes.
Hamas is going to fix these things or no? This is the huge challenge facing the new technocrat, and I guess Palestinians are waiting eagerly for this phase for reconstruction, reconstruction the Gaza Strip after the devastated war in Gaza and after 2 years of war and suffering from the war, and several of Palestinians have been casualties in this war and impacted in this war.
Yes.
So the huge challenge, yeah, Usama.
Unfortunately, Mr. Bushbuff, we're running out of time for this discussion, but as always, thank you very much for joining us and sharing that insight. Now, we move the focus on to Thailand. A train derailed in the northeastern Thailand after a construction crane fell onto 2 of its carriages, which killed at least 32 people and injured 66 people. The accident occurred in the Sikio district of Nakhon Ratchasima province, 230 kilometers northeast of Bangkok, on a train from the capital bound for Ubon Ratchathani province. The crane was part of a China-backed railway project linking Bangkok to Laos and onward to China. Thailand's Prime Minister has ordered a full investigation, calling for accountability and warning the disaster was likely caused by negligence and safety lapses amid growing concerns over construction standards in the country. According to an eyewitness, the train carriage split in half and noticed smoke rising at the site of crash. Let's listen into what the eyewitness has shared.
เห็นควันไฟมันขึ้นก็เลยออกมาดูเสียงมันดังนะครับก็เลยผมก็เอามอเตอร์ไซค์มาก็มาเห็นนี่ผมก็เลยวิ่งไปเห็นคนนอนเต็มแล้วผมก็เลยขึ้นไปโบกี้ที่2นั้นขาดครึ่งนะครับพอดีช่วยน้องดาน้องชายแล้วก็น้องเขยครับที่ช่วยกันอยู่นะแล้วก็มูลนิธิอยู่5-6 คนนะครับอยู่ข้างบนโบกี้ก็ปีนขึ้นไปก็ไปช่วยเขาเอาคนตาย2 คนแล้วก็คนเจ็บได้2 คนแล้วก็เด็กน้อย1 คน เด็กน้อยนี่อายุเท่าไหร่คะประมาณขวบกว่าๆครับ
Now we move the focus on to Europe. Denmark has announced an immediate increase in its military presence in and around Greenland, deploying additional aircraft, vessels, and troops, including support from NATO allies. The move comes as talks get underway in Washington following renewed remarks by U.S. President Donald Trump about taking control of the strategically important Arctic island. France has warned that Trump's statements on Greenland must be taken very seriously. Speaking in Parliament, French Minister Sébastien Lecornu has said that Paris stands firmly with Denmark and Greenland's legitimate authorities in defense of their sovereignty and territorial integrity. Let's listen into what French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has said.
Chinoise, mais enfin, il est clair que les intentions de l'administration Trump sont sérieuses et qu'elles doivent désormais être prises très au sérieux et que nous ne devons absolument pas sous-estimer la parole du président américain. Pour être très clair, au-delà des mots, cela positionne aussi évidemment la diplomatie française dans une pleine solidarité avec le Danemark et les autorités légitimes du Groenland, car je rappelle, y compris pour celles et ceux qui pourraient être peut-être fascinés par la force ou l'épreuve de force, que la défense de la souveraineté des autres pays conditionne la protection de notre propre souveraineté.
Now we move on. The European Union has also voiced strong support. European Union Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Greenlanders can count on the EU, stressing that Arctic security is a growing concern not only for NATO, but for Europe as a whole. Let's listen to what the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has shared.
Strong and good and existing relationship between the European Union and the Greenlanders. And for me, it's important that the Greenlanders know, and they know this by the deeds, not only by the words, that we respect the wishes of the Greenlanders and their interests, and that they can count on us.
Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. John Rosomondo. He's a president of Viking Research Associates and geopolitical analyst, joins us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, Mr. Rosomondo, for joining us. Good to see you. Now, looking at this, what do President Trump's renewed remarks reveals about the current U.S. strategic thinking towards Greenland?
Well, the United States sees Greenland as vulnerable to Chinese encroachment and Chinese subversion. If you look at China's Polar Silk Road strategy, the one entrance goes through the Bering Strait and the other goes through what they used to call during the Cold War the Greenland, Iceland, UK gap. And President Trump thinks it's a matter of U.S. national security for the United States to control Greenland, to block the Chinese from being able to exploit that sea route.
Right. Do you think President Trump saw some kind of China or Russia's move in Greenland? That's why he started rushing this?
Well, I think that China has been trying to get in control of the mineral resources in Greenland for years, and President Trump wants to make sure that that does not happen. Plus, also, he wants to have a strategic control of the Arctic in the Bering Strait, where we have Alaska, and then on the other side with Greenland.
And do you think that France and your EU's public backing of Denmark, does it make any difference to U.S.? And how do you think, the alignment in Europe is shifting because of President Trump's remarks about Greenland?
Well, I think that the EU has always been reflexive against, President Trump and increasingly against the United States. However, we've seen just how lackadaisical the Europeans have been against Russia that led to the invasion of Ukraine. President Trump is worried about the Europeans being lackadaisical toward China as it builds its Polar Silk Road. And potentially, the poles could be a place where China sends its ballistic missile submarines to rain death on America. So President Trump wants to have a strategic hold, and the Europeans won't do anything to stop any aggression.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rossomando, for sharing that insight. Now, moving on to our tech news. Elon Musk has denied allegations that no naked images of underage girls are published by X's Grok AI. He has also claimed that Grok AI does not generate images on its own until user requests it to do so. Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer says that his government is not going to back down on its attempt to make XAI's Grok service completely comply with British laws after the chatbot was given the ability to remove clothing from people featured in photos submitted by users. This service was initially available for free on the social networking site X, but since has been placed behind a paywall. Starmer tells the Parliament that he is absolutely determined to take action and says that he has been told that X is acting to ensure full compliance with UK law. Let's listen into what the Prime Minister has shared.
Can I thank you for raising this? The actions of Grok and X are disgusting and they're shameful. And frankly, the decision to then turn this into a premium service is horrific. And we're absolutely determined to take action here. We've made it clear that X has to act, and if not, Ofcom has our full backing and will introduce and are introducing legislation. Mr. Speaker, to update the House, I have been informed this morning that X is acting to ensure full compliance with UK law. If so, that is welcome, but we're not going to back down. They must act. We will take the necessary measures. We will strengthen existing laws and prepare for legislation if it needs to go further. And Ofcom will continue its independent investigation.
Now for this discussion, we welcome back Mr. John Rossomando from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, Mr. Rossomando, for staying with us. Now, how do you analyze this situation? Do you think that governments are lacking behind as, technology moves faster?
Well, I think that the one thing that Mr. Musk did that was responsible was making this a premium service. We don't need to have teenage boys or young people creating salacious videos of women they know without their consent. So I think that that's a step forward. I think that technology always goes ahead of bureaucracy, and I think that Mr. Musk is talking about being against censorship. So I think that you have some magazines in the UK that are a lot more salacious than what you would find on X.
Right. And what do you think, what would happen to the reputation of X or Glock or even Elon Musk? Do you think this affects their reputation overall?
I think that this will be just a blip and it will be forgotten once the news cycle leaves. I think that there are a lot more damning issues that need to be addressed than some of the issues on X. I mean, pornography, for example, has been available on Twitter for since it started. So if we want to talk about that, why not talk about the availability of pornography on X's free platform?
Right. With that, I would like to thank Mr. John Rosamando for joining us today and sharing that insight throughout our news. That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.